So the Knicks get a win in the in-season tournament. They are now 1-1. And Allen, at fourth quarter, the Knicks were up by 21 in the first half. Third quarter, many times the Wizards got within 5. But in that fourth quarter, the Knicks outscored the Wizards by the count of 31-15.
And that's the critical part as we're in the in-season tournament, right? Because this had to be a blowout. You had to get there. And because it was sitting at 5 for so long, you were just wondering, are this going to be a close game? They lost by 5 to Milwaukee, so you're -5 already in point differential. Why does it matter? That's the tiebreaker when it comes to the wild card spot if you don't win your pool. So that's why you're seeing teams run it up. And we saw Milwaukee run it up tonight against Charlotte. That was important for them as well.
They won by 31.
Yeah, that's big because you add the +5 when they beat the Knicks. So now you got 36 on their side. So for the Knicks, again, just something to keep an eye on. And you've got still games to play coming up. So next Friday is that Miami comes to the Garden. That's an in-season tournament game. That's important for the Knicks because Miami's 2-0. And then Miami still has to play the Bucks. And then the Knicks still have one more against the Hornets. And then we'll see who moves on to the knockout round. So this is the fun part of what they're trying to do here with the league is not just the courts and everything else, but just the fact that as you're seeing these games, like this is normally a game with 3 minutes to go, empty the bench. But Tom Thibodeau left his guys in a little bit longer, even on the first night of a back-to-back, just to make sure that score stayed over 20.
All right, so you got the Bucks 2-0 in the group. Miami is 2-0. The Knicks are 1-1. And again, that sets up a huge game for the Knicks against Miami Friday, the day after Thanksgiving next week.
Yep.
Could do a lot to determine what happens to the Knicks in this in-season tournament. Huge story tonight was the Knicks able to withstand the loss of R.J. Barrett and Quentin Grimes, both unable to play. Grimes out with the injured wrist. R.J. still having problems with the migraines. Jalen Brunson, 32 points, but I mentioned off the top, second straight game in which he hit 6 threes.
Yes, he's 6 for 10 in both games now. In Atlanta was 6 for 10. In this game, 6 for 10. And the three-point shot for him has been his biggest weapon. But what you loved in this game was, as this game was kind of frustrating, it felt at times the Knicks were playing with their food throughout this game. Just come on, finish the meal, let's go. And there were a couple of plays that were game changers that Jalen Brunson decided, I'm going to dive on the floor, I'm going to take a charge, I'm going to play with some extra physicality, draw a couple of fouls. All the little things. That's the dog in him that you really like about Brunson. Because he saw it too, he could feel it too. That somebody's got to step up and kind of make some gritty plays in a game where, you know, against a team like you can see Washington, they don't really give you an effort defensively. I mean, look at that. He was wide open. I mean, nobody on him. All he is one of the top scorers on your opponent, and he's wide open. How's that possible? Because they don't really play good defense. So when you have games like this, there are times where a team like the Knicks will get a big lead and then sort of just sit back like, all right, like we can mail this one in. And you can't because it's still the NBA and they still got guys who are proud and want to score. So you got to have a moment in the game where you decide, okay, here's the moment of truth. We're going to take this game by the throat. And it was Jalen Brunson who did it.
You know, in the fourth quarter here, the second straight game, Knicks, by the way, have won 5 out of 6, really starting to put things together. But against Atlanta, the fourth quarter was the key, the final 6 minutes or so. And tonight, the entire 12-minute period was the key. The Wizards went, 8 minutes in the fourth quarter without a single basket?
Almost 8 minutes without a field goal. They hit 2 free throws, and that was it. The score was 95-90. If you remember, Kispert had the putback, and it was maddening. And then Tom Thibodeau calls a timeout, 9:28 to go. How is it a 5-point game still in the fourth quarter? They didn't make a field goal again until extensive garbage time, when they brought in guys that you don't even know who they are, and they just made a couple of late buckets. But other than that, the Knicks locked it down defensively and put this game away. And like you mentioned, in Atlanta, last 5 minutes of the game, what happened out of the timeout? Hey, Quickley, go be yourself. Remember, Josh Hart told us the story about how Randall was telling him in the huddle, be yourself, man. Get out there and be aggressive, and Quickley scored some buckets and turned the game around. Same story happened tonight in that fourth quarter with Quickley.
You know, what's interesting is that when Tom Thibodeau has to bring people off the bench to start, Grimes and DiVincenzo tonight, and plays with Grimes and RJ, he keeps Immanuel Quickley on the bench. And you can see why.
I'll tell you why. There was a point, again, until the garbage time, there was 5 points scored by a couple of guys from down on the depths of the Washington bench in the last minute. But before those buckets were scored, Immanuel Quickley by himself was outscoring the Wizards bench in this game. By himself, with a 14-point fourth quarter and a 27-point performance off the bench. And that's why when you knew that Grimes was out and then Barrett was also going to be out, so you're down 2 starters, the thinking is, oh, just start Immanuel Quickley, right? Because he's your 6th man, so technically that means he should move up into the starting lineup. But Tom Thibodeau's looking at it as, I still need production off my bench. I need somebody that can score when my starters are out of the game. So why mess with the rotation? Leave Quickley in that role as the guy off the bench, a primary scorer with the reserves. And I'll bring in a guy like Hart who can score and who can start, but also DiVincenzo, who has started before in the NBA. And actually, DiVincenzo gave you a terrific first half, so it was the right move in this game.
DiVincenzo, in fact, Allen, 12 of his 14 in the first half. He had 4 threes in the first half. Really important how the Knicks started off this game.
Yeah, of course. Again, the three-point shot continues to be a weapon. We talked about in the pregame show how Tom Thibodeau has wanted his team to be in the top 10 in three-point field goals attempted and three-point percentage. They are in the top 10 in both categories.
All right, Knicks from three-point shooting tonight went 16 out of 38. Second straight game in which they hit 16 threes, a percentage 42%. They came into this game from downtown for the season shooting 37%. Good things everywhere for Maryland natives. You're back home. Immanuel Quickley's back home. His mom is watching, and he goes for 27-16 in that decisive fourth quarter.
I can't do my quick celebration with my mic and my pen in my hand, Pidto, but we got to do the quick celebration because he had a fantastic game. You mentioned the scoring. You get 4 assists, 6 rebounds as well, and then he does it on 10 of 18. So you talk about a little home cooking. Good to see the family indeed. But beyond that, I mean, this is now 2 20-point performances as this team is navigating some absences, and so that's big. I have to applaud Immanuel Quickley's ability to be ready, right? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. His preparation has allowed him to step into the moment seamlessly and answer the call.
Iman, how about the decision, though, because obviously you're missing 2 starters, and sometimes you would think, well, you'd slide the 6th man into the starting lineup, but they decide to keep him as in the role of the guy coming off the bench because of how much with bench players moving up. You need production. Somebody's got to do the scoring, and it was him. So the decision was very interesting to keep him in that 6-man role tonight.
You know, I think that he takes a lot of pride in being able to provide whatever it is his team needs. But I also will add, Allen, last year when we saw Quick get starts, it was often in the stead of Jalen Brunson, who had to navigate a few absences last season. And so just position-wise, I think it did make sense. And obviously, the proof is in the pudding now that we're discussing this postgame. Right. I think it made sense. But like I said, Quick takes a lot of pride in being ready and able to answer the call. We talked about the player's playbook in the pregame. And what I actually love the most about that is he's like, I know that play. I watch everything. I watch things immediately, and so you can bet that he was prepared to show out here at home like he did.
Yeah, he definitely was enjoying it. You know who else showed out in this game also, and who has been showing out, especially from downtown, is Jalen Brunson. Another 6 for 10 performance from three-point range. The 3-ball has become a serious weapon for the Knicks.
It's crazy to think, 2 weeks ago, the sky was falling as far as field goal percentage for this New York Knicks squad. Listen, every time Jalen comes in the game, and even tonight, lead is 5 points, here he comes, knocks down the 3, lead is 4 points here, whatever it is, knocks down the 3. His ability to just kind of stabilize the whole operation, and he's not a guy that is going to really relish in any sort of praise either. He's very much like, all right, next game we got to go to Charlotte and continue to play focused basketball. He did not know that Quick had such an incredible line, and he was really, really happy for him when we talked to him on the radio's postgame show.
Monica, really interesting game in that the Knicks were dominating up 60-39 in the first half. Wizards make a run late in the half. Third quarter, Wizards are flirting with coming all the way back. They got within 5 a bunch of times. But as we've talked about, the Knicks dominated the fourth quarter. How did they do it?
So, 2 things. I want to go back to that third quarter where it started to get tight, though, Pidto, because I actually thought that you had to give the Wizards the credit for the defensive intensity that they started the second half with. However, the Knicks were able to respond, right? It was just a matter of settling down and getting back to executing in the half court so they could get some quality looks. In the fourth, you saw a team, to me, and I don't know this for a fact, Allen, I know you're all over the numbers, but I'm pretty sure when Mitchell Robinson came back in the ball game, that sort of was a big chunk of that 17-2 run that the Knicks went on in terms of turning up their defense in the fourth. This team is continuing to grow. Like, it's fun and it's our job to be all into every single game, but now we've crossed over that 10-game mark. We're in between that 10 and 20 where you start to see an identity for a squad. And again, similar to last year, this team is an excellent rebounding squad. They are a force to be reckoned with on defense. And so those 2 things remain the same. You're getting that quality 3-point shooting back. It's looking real good. I'm enjoying it.